Hi, everyone. This is Fugu from Cre8rDao. I'm here with Frogmonkee. How's it going?
Hey man, great. Glad to be here.
And we're going to be talking today about Coordinape, a very useful tool for DAOs that we both use in Cre8rDao and in Bankless DAO. I'm going to be asking Frogmonkee some questions about how they use it. And yeah, let's just do it. So question number one, what is Bankless DAO and what's your role there?
Yeah, so Bankless DAO is the steward behind the Bankless brand. So no doubt if you're in crypto, you've heard of the Bankless newsletter and the Bankless podcast started by Ryan and David. Um, they ended up taking that brand and DAOifying it to their community, at which point we have now catalyzed a very vibrant community around sort of the types of values that Bankless embodies. And our goal is to now spread this idea or this message of going bankless, um, as far as possible through three core pillars, which are education, culture, and media. Um, and my role in that is I've basically been at Bankless DAO since the beginning when it launched, and I've taken on a sort of leadership core contributor role, and I'm involved in very sort of meta level strategy for helping the DAO grow. In addition to sort of governance and operations, and also I'm a writer by trade, and so the Writers Guild is sort of my home base. That's the only guild that I'm very active in addition to sort of this higher level strategy planning that I sort of assist with as well.
Why do you guys use Coordinape and when do you use it?
Funny. Why is because we had no idea how we were going to allocate funds in a fair manner. And so we started looking at just some methods, right? We were like, well, how are we going to compensate our contributors? How do we value their time? Do we want to do hourly? Do we want to have like salaries? And when you do that, you have to come up with standards for um, valuing work from a sort of top-down perspective. And we didn't really know how to do that at the time. And so we looked at sort of what was going on at the ecosystem, and we found this thing called Coordinape. And we were like, oh, this is awesome. This is like the solution to this problem where we're having where we don't really understand how we're going to sort of itemize and value work. And so we said, okay, we don't know how to attribute value on a top-down level, so let's do it through the social game. And we used Coordinape at the end of season 0. So season 0 was sort of like this bootstrapping phase. We used it at the end of season 0, and we had like a over 80% satisfaction rate. We did a survey afterwards, and we're like, "Hey, are you satisfied with the amount that you got?" And we had over 80% people say yes. And so it sort of proliferated as this larger tool within Bankless DAO, where I mean, we use it on a DAO-wide level. We use it within guilds, and we also use it within projects. So really, any level of the coordination stack you look at, we're using Coordinape, down from 5 people all the way up to 200, 300 people.
And when it comes to compensating DAO members, you don't use Coordinape exclusively. You sometimes use Coordinape and you sometimes compensate people using some sort of flat fee structure.
Yeah, so we're very much in this exploratory phase of um, figuring out the right compensation model, where I think a lot of DAOs are. So we don't always use Coordinape. Sometimes we have roles that have set salaries. We use a bounty mechanism. So there are price points associated with particular tasks. I've seen some guilds have basically like a UBI system where they'll just pay a consistent rate for all the members of the guild, and then obviously Coordinape as well. And so we have this modular stack of different types of compensation tools, of which Coordinape is one of them, but it is an integral, definitely an integral tool that we use in this compensation stack.
And then when you disperse payment, is that done in the Bankless token?
Yes.
Okay, very cool. Now, what kind of problems does using Coordinape solve for you?
Um, I mean, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's like it's very difficult to value time. Um, in a traditional organization, you have salaried positions. So obviously, you don't need to sort of break it down by task or by hour or by project. You can break it down to, hey, this is your role. This is how much we're paying you. Go and do your work. But that model doesn't really work for DAOs. I mean, obviously there are some full-time employees, but the majority of people that contribute to DAOs do so in a part-time fashion. And so trying to value their work from this top-down point of view just isn't something that scales well, because it needs to be fair and equal across the board. And so the problem that Coordinape solves is that it provides us a method of um, compensating people proportional to the value that they've provided by relying on their peers to decide what that amount is. And on top of that, it also aligns with sort of the ethos of working in a DAO, which is it is fairly decentralized, right? It's you are using your peers to determine the value of your work, and not this hierarchical central framework that decides for you.
And how many circles do you guys have?
I'm not sure, because again, like I said, guilds use their own circle, projects use their own circle. The DAO as a whole does a sort of seasonal Coordinape circle. So in season 0, we had, I know we just had one circle. We did at the end of the season as a DAO-wide thing. In season 1, I'd say at least a dozen, probably much more than that. But the lower bound would be a dozen. And then, season 2, which we started about 10 days ago, I can expect to see that number go up probably three, four times the amount. So we'll probably hit like 50 circles in season 2, if I'm being honest.
And I've seen some images where you guys had, I think, 200 people in one epic.
Yeah, so fun fact is that we have been the largest Coordinape circle in Coordinape's history. And so we did our largest circle. We did the first largest circle at the end of season 0, where we had about 200 signups and about 100 people that had allocated give tokens. And this season we had about like 400 signups and we had about 200 people that allocated give tokens. So we're, I guess, the 2-time world record holders for the largest Coordinape circle to date.
Crazy, amazing. Well, what do you like about Coordinape and what do you not like?
I mean, obviously, the thing that I like is that you're using this social game to distribute funds proportional to the value that people provide, based on how your peers are able to sort of capture that value. I just think that model is great. I think it's like way more empowering than having this central figure decide what the value of your work is for you. And instead, you're actually looking at your peers, and it's like this great thing that Coordinape has is when you allocate tokens, you can also write like a message. Okay, thank you for doing this, or like I recognized you for your participation on this project or this initiative. And so just that type of like social aspect is so empowering. It builds strong community ties. So I like that. I like the transparency, right? You can see exactly how much people are earning and where that's coming from. They have that social graph that you can basically like click, and I mean, I can spend just hours clicking and just seeing how the relationships within the DAO are evolving and forming between different groups of people. And then the other thing I like, which is a recent development, is now you can set these circles up in a permissionless fashion, whereas before you would have to work with the Coordinape team to set up this circle. But now you can just set it up on your own. I think that's going to be explosive for the growth of Coordinape, because I think that is a major sticking point. I'd say the only thing I don't really like about it is the fact that you still need to manually make these distributions after the fact, right? So you basically, at the end of an epoch, you download a CSV file of all the people that were given tokens, you need to retrofit that into whatever your payout is going to be, right? So all the tokens are in give tokens. You need to then map that to whatever the actual payout is going to be, and then you have to go and actually make that payout using Gnosis Safe or Disperse app or something like that. So having that done programmatically and automatically, I think would be a great benefit. But I think again, that's very much on their roadmap.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're familiar with V2, that is going to come out. It'll be really amazing when we can just do it automatically without having to go through Disperse and all that kind of stuff. Anyways, the last question I have for you is, would you recommend Coordinape to other DAOs?
Hands down, yes. Like without a doubt. If you're in a DAO, I really see no reason not to use Coordinape. It meshes with the sort of DAO ethos. It's a powerful tool for compensation. It's pretty seamless. It's also really fun. Like that's just another aspect of like you going out and figuring out tokens to give to other people and clicking on the social graph and looking at the messages that people are leaving you. It's like a very interactive and fun sort of event, honestly. And I can see that reflected in our Discord when people are using Coordinape for the first time, and they'll say a message like, "I just gave out my first give tokens," like 5 exclamation marks. So I mean, it's a great community tool for not only compensation but aligning on incentives and aligning on like sort of community cohesion. It's fun. It takes a lot of the sort of structural thinking of compensation out of the hands of just a select few and puts it into the broader community. So I really like, I feel like if you're in DAO, it's you kind of need to use Coordinape unless you have a very simplistic compensation model, which makes sense. But if there's even some variation of or some uncertainty on how to pay people, Coordinape needs to be part of that stack.
Amazing. Well, it seems like you guys are going to keep using it for the long term, and we're also planning to use Coordinape for the long term. We're also having a lot of fun with our Coordinape circles over at Cre8rDao. Well, Frogmonkee, thanks a lot. Really enjoyed speaking to you about Coordinape today, and wish you guys luck with Bankless DAO.
Thank you, sir. You as well. Appreciate your time.